Sometimes I logically approach situations with a kind of cold reason. I'll take things apart in my mind to see how they function. But usually when the subject is God, that comprehension of mine tends to frighten people. They assume the logic of it is a wall, a rejection of faith. But what if they have it backwards? What if the ability to question the divine is the true signature of the divine within us? This isn't a script about disbelief. It's an inquiry, a speculation. Because to kill a god, you must first understand what even a god is in the first place, and what it will feel like to live in a world of a dead god. You must understand what you've become. So, what is a god? Is it a being of infinite power or a symbol of infinite need? Looking back in time, we're made to understand that our ancestors built deities or gods to explain the unexplainable. A sudden plague was probably a divine punishment. The birth of twins was definitely a curse from an evil spirit. When the world was still very much a mystery to the early humans, gods and demons were the only logical answers to every why. But usually that understanding came at a cost measured in human lives, a ritualistic sacrifice to appease the mechanics of the understanding. Today, our pantheon appears to be more subtle, but no less devout. We bow at the altar of progress, believing it will save us. We chant the hymns of fame, begging for its validation. We offer our data to the algorithm, hoping for a blessing in return. Every age, every generation builds its own temple to a type of god, regardless of how we try to paint it. Every human heart furnishes an altar to something. It's almost as if we're hardwired to worship something, anything. But what happens when we turn that wiring against the very gods we created?
Moved to other
So, how do you kill a god? You don't need a sword, you don't need lightning, you only need a single quiet thought. I see the mechanism behind the miracle. In the world of Shadow of the Colossus, you were tasked with slaying over a dozen magnificent divine beings. But each and every one of your victory is somber, the ground shakes as they fall, and with each collapse the world becomes a little more quiet, a little more silent. You weren't just killing monsters, you were murdering meaning itself. I mean, science already performed this Deicide on a cosmic scale. It looked at the god of thunder and whispered, atmospheric electrical discharge. It gazed at the complexity of life and spoke of natural selection. Galileo, the father of modern science, looked through his telescope and saw the moons of Jupiter, evidence that not everything revolved around the earth. And to this phenomenal discovery, the church, guardian of divine understanding, forced him to resent. They couldn't have been breaking the order that's already established, the supposed order of God. But Galileo's humble reasoning refused to be imprisoned. He understood a profound truth. In the question of science, the authority of 1,000 is not worth the humble reasoning of a single individual. With every god we slay, a veil is lifted, and the world becomes clearer, more explicable. But something else fades too. The awe, the terror, the sacred silence. And this was exactly the issue the church had with these discoveries. We're not meant to question God, lest we become closer to Him in knowledge. And no, as much as I'd hate to admit it, too much knowledge isn't necessarily a good thing. So the church actually did have a point, but only to an extent. So why do it? Why this relentless, almost suicidal urge to dethrone the cosmic consciousness that is referred to as God? Perhaps because blind obedience is a kind of death in itself. To never question is to never truly choose, and the human nature, created in the image of God, just do not understand how to not ask questions. And sometimes, the cost of a God is just too high. I mean, for centuries, an illness we didn't understand was a demon that needed exorcism. The birth of twins was an omen that required a ritual. Innocents were killed. burned, and abandoned as sacrifices to appease divine wrath or to uphold a tradition. It was the killing of a false, malignant god, the god of superstition, by the slow arrival of modern medicine and reason that stopped the burning of witches. We didn't lose meaning, we simply stopped the slaughter. Think of Abraham on Mount Moriah, with a blade in hand over the neck of his own son, Isaac. It's a story of faith, yes, but it's also a warning. When belief becomes absolute, it can demand the unthinkable. Sometimes, killing a god is the only way to save your son. But as the story goes, this particular god took mercy on Abraham upon seeing his commitment and instructed him to stop. But in the case of Prometheus, he didn't steal fire from the gods out of spite, but out of love for humanity. His was a holy betrayal, a theft that illuminated the world. And think of the most profound moment in the Christian story, Christ on Gethsemane, and later on the cross, saying, my God, why have you forsaken me?" In that cry, it is divinity itself that questions the divine. It is the moment that God, in human form, experiences the death of God. It is the ultimate paradox. The moment faith is most authentic is the moment it confronts absolute absence. We might kill a God to grow up, or to take responsibility from said God, or to make room for a truth we can't yet imagine, or maybe only to realize that there was nothing there to begin with.
Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
When a god dies, the death doesn't happen in the heavens. It happens in the human soul, and the vacuum opens in the collective psyche. When the gods of Olympus fell, Rome filled the silence with the glory of empire. When the god of medieval Europe began to wane, we built new cathedrals to science, to reason, and to the state. But as Breath of the Wild shows us, even those can crumble. He walked through that world as Link, a hero in the land of beautiful silent ruins. The old gods are gone, their power faded. They aren't restoring a kingdom so much as they are piecing together meaning from the fragments left behind. That is our world. We are all walking through those ruins, picking up shards of old beliefs, trying to fit them together into a new mosaic. Because when the prayer no longer echoes back, when you look into the heavens and see only physics, you are left with a terrifying and exhilarating realization. You look in the mirror and you understand, we've succeeded in becoming gods. But that has only complicated our reality. And this is where my own tension finds its language. My inquisition, this relentless logical dissection of reality, is not a rejection of God. It should be the very reason to actually believe in one. Because what if God was never an old man in the clouds? What if divinity is not a noun but a verb? The process itself, the act of questioning, the shared search for truth, the collective consciousness that emerges when billions of us think, feel, love, and wonder together. This awareness that connects a cell to an organism, a person to a community, a planet to a cosmos. This silence, human network of being and inquiry. What else could we have once called it but God? To kill God is not to destroy the sacred. It is to dissolve the final idol, the illusion that the divine was ever separate from us. It is to realize that the conversation itself is the miracle. So, when I question the concept of God, don't mistake it for a lack of faith, but rather my own faith, a faith that is still learning how to speak, and maybe the death of the God we thought we knew isn't the end of the story. Maybe it's where the real story actually begins.